In this video, we're going to go over the part 1 of the midterm study guide, where you're going to have to show work and explain your reasoning. So, right here, I'm just going to write at the very top CM-061 at the top of my page, just to so you can let the teacher know and let yourself know what page you are working on. So, let's begin. Number 1. So in the directions, they want us to answer the 3 questions. If we need room, we can attach a piece of paper. On the actual midterm, you will actually only be answering 2 of the questions. So you choose 2 questions, and you answer those 2. So choose the 2 questions that you find easiest. If you answer all 3 questions, you're not going to score all 3 and choose your highest 2 scores. You will have to cross off one of those because your teacher will only grade 2 of them, and they're going to grade the first 2 they see. So if you don't like a certain question, cross it out. Just X it out. Anyways, let's go through all these questions. Georgette gave each of her grandchildren $53.75. So she gave grandchildren $53.75. If she gave a total of $322 and 50 cents, how many grandchildren does Georgette have? Explain your reasoning. So she gave each of her grandchildren $53.75. A lot of times I like to think of it as like, oh, let's use easier numbers. Let's say she gave her grandchildren $10 each. And then she gave a total of, I don't know, $50 to all her grandchildren. How many grandchildren? So, and reread it. Georgette gave each of her grandchildren $10. If she gave a total of $50, how many grandchildren does Georgette have? Well, she gave $10 to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Oh, well, she would have 5 grandchildren because she gave away $50. Oh, my brain's able to process that a lot easier because the numbers are easier. So that's just a nice little trick I like to use. Use simpler numbers because it allows your brain to stop focusing on these crazy numbers and to just kind of focus on what they're asking. Now, there is a bit of an art to choosing easier numbers, but choose different kinds of easy numbers and see which ones work for you. So anyhow, I know that basically, how do I figure out that she has 5 children from 50 and 10? Well, if I do 50 divided by 10, if I did 10 plus 50, that doesn't make any sense. That'd be like 60. But it's subtraction. 50 minus 10, 40 grandchildren? No. If I did multiplication, 10 times 50, that'd be 500. That doesn't make sense. But if I do 50 divided by 10, I know that I will find the answer. So my real number is not 50 and 10. My real number is actually 322. 50 and 53.75. So instead of doing 50 divided by 10 to find the grandchildren, I'm going to do 322.50 divided by 53.75. So that's just what I'll do. 322.50 on the inside, and then 53.75 on the outside. All right. So what I need to do if I'm dealing with this is I am going to move my decimal place over twice because I do want to divide. My divisor does not want to have a decimal, so it's going to be right there and right there, and so I'm going to put my decimal straight up. Now I ask myself this hard question: how many times does 5,375 go into 322? Well, it doesn't go into 3. It doesn't go into 32 or 322. 5,375, does that go into 3,000? No, too big. So how many times does it go into 3,220? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to try 5 first. So I'm going to do some side work. 53.75 times 5, because that's easy. I can do that. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35, 36, 37. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. And 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. Alright, so 5 times, that's not close, that's 26,000. 875. So maybe I need to try number, maybe I need to try 7. So 5, 3, 7, 5 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 7 is 49, 50, 51, 52. So 52. 7 times 3 is 7, 14, 21. 21 plus 5 is 20. And 6. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 2 is 37. 37, 6 to 5, that's too much. It must be 6. Let's try 6 now. 5, 3, 7, 5 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 7 is 30, 36, 42, plus 3, 42, 43, 44, 45, so 45. 6 times 3 is 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then 6 times 5 is 30. 30 plus 2 is 32. So there it is, 32250. Look at that! Woohoo! So it's 6 point nothing. She has, and 30, you don't have to subtract because it's going to end up the same. She has a total of 6 grandchildren. Alright, explain your reasoning. I would say that she gave 5375. What you did is, and I'm not going to write this down because it's going to be a waste of time for you to watch me write something down, but you do need to explain that she gave a total of 322.50, and she had 5375 grandchildren, so you divided this number by this number, and that gave you the number of grandchildren. So, and you could even say that if you multiply 6 times 5375, that you would get 302.50, and that's how you checked your answer. You can explain that in your reasoning as well. Let's try number 2. How many 1/6 pound hamburger patties can be made from 8.5 pound package and a 9 2/3 pound package of ground beef? Explain your reasoning. Well, let's see. How many? 1 and 1/6. I'm going to choose my little trick method thing. You never want to use 1, but how many 2-pound hamburger patties? Or you rarely want to use that, but 2-pound hamburger patties can be made from an 8-pound package, and from let's do 10. I'm going to do an even number because those are easy. How many 2-pound hamburger patties can be made from an 8-pound package and a 10-pound package of ground beef? Explain my reasoning. So I want 2-pound hamburger patties, and I've got a package that's 8 and a package of 10. And both of those are just packages of meat, so that's 18 pounds of ground beef. And I want 2-pound hamburger patties, so how many 2-pound patties can I make from 18 pounds of meat? Oh, well, I can make 1 patty is 2 pounds, and then 2 patties is 4 pounds, and 3 pounds patty is 6, and the 4 is 8. Oh, this is basically just division. So 18, these two together, divided by the 2. So, and that's what I'm going to explain in my reasoning as well. But that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to add my 2 packages of meat, 8 1/2, plus 9 2/3. Alright, find a common denominator. In this case, you do the LCM thing, but 2 and 3, well, there's not much you can do. So it's kind of obvious. You end up with 2 times 6 on both ends. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4, and you may want to rewrite the whole thing. 8 and 3, 6, and 9 and 4, 6. It's going to be our 2 fractions we're adding. 3, 6 plus 4, 6 is 5, 6, 7 over 6. 8 plus 9 is 9 plus 18, 17, and 17, 7, 6, which is not correct because that is a 7, 6 is a improper fraction. 6 goes into 7 once, and you're left with 1, 6 plus that 17, so that is a total of 18 and 1/6. Now, that is not the answer. This is just 18 and 1/6 pounds of meat. Alright, so we have 18 and 1/6 pounds of meat. The question was how many hamburger patties? 1/6 pound. And remember we said, oh yeah, you add these two numbers, and then you divide it by this number right here. And this number is not 2, it's actually 1/6. So 18 and 1/6 divided by 1/6. So 18 and 1/6 divided by 1/6. Remember, we cannot divide by a mixed number, so we need to turn this into something improper. So 6 times 18. What is 6 times 18? Let me do that on the side. 18 and 6. That is 30, 36, 40, 48. 48. And 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So 108. So we have 108 plus the 1. So we have, here we go, we have 109 over 6 divided by 1/6. And then we have to do the keep, change, flip thing. So 109 is over 6 is something we keep. We change divide to multiply, and then we flip 1 over 6 to 6 over 1. And then before we multiply 109 times 6 and 6 times 1, let's do some cross multiplying. 109 and 6, I don't know if I can do that, but I know 6 and 6 can be cross multiplied. Divide them both by 6, and you end up with 1 over here, 1 over there. Oh, so nice. 109 times 1 is 109. 1 times 1 is 1. So our answer is 109. So after I've divided this pounds of meat by the size of hamburger patties, I end up with 109 patties. Hamburger patties, in fact. I should write that up here, which is where they wanted me to write it. 109 patties. What do I need to explain in my reasoning? I need to explain that I have to add up these 2 packages of meat first, because they're both just packages of meat, because they're asking me how many 1/6 pound patties can I make from that. And after I add those up, I divide them by 1/6. Now, there's another way you could have done it. You could have just divided this by 1/6, and then this by 1/6, and then added those two numbers together. But I feel like this was probably easier. Add the meat first, and then divide it by the pound of the patties. Let's do our last one, number 3. A grocery store sign indicates that apples are $8 for $2.40, and sign by the oranges indicates, let's see, 8 for $2.40, and the oranges indicates that they are 6 for $4.50. Find the total cost of buying 3 apples and 3 oranges. Whew. Well, what you need to do is you need to find the cost of a single apple, and then the cost of a single orange. So the unit rate of the apples and the unit rate of the oranges, and then we need to, let's start off with, and then we need to find and then multiply by 3 apples and 3 oranges, and then add them up. So that's what we're going to do. Let's find the cost of unit rate of apples. So apples, that's going to be $2.40 divided by 8. How many times is 8 going to 2? 0 times. How many times 8 going to 24? 8, 16, 24. Oh, 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. We're left with 0. Bring down that 0. How many times 8 going to 0? Well, there's still a place right there. So, and 8 times 0 is 0. We have no remainder. So apples, it looks like apples are 0.30, which is, or 0.3, which is 30 cents per apple. And then let's look at oranges. Oranges are 6 for $4.50. So $4.50 divided by 6. How many times 6 go into 4? 0 times. Let's bring up that decimal. How many times go into 45? Let's see. 30, 36, 42. That is 7. 6 times 7 is 42. I'm going to subtract, and I end up with 3. Bring down that 0. How many times 6 go into 30? It goes in 5 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtracting, you have 0 left over. What is this? Well, it is 0.75 per orange. So it's 30 cents per apple, 75 cents per orange. The question is,
what is the cost of 3 apples and 3 oranges? Well, 3 apples is going to be the cost of the apple times 3. So 0 times 3, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 3 is 9. And then we have 2 decimal places right here, 1, 2, which means we go here and we do 2 decimal places. So the cost of 3 apples is 90 cents. Don't box that. That's not our answer. It's the cost of 3 apples. And then 3 apps. And then let's do the cost of 3 oranges, which is 0.75 times 3. Now you could maybe be able to do this in your head. If you can, great. If not, don't worry about it. 3 times 5, that's 15. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. How many decimal places? 2 right there, which means we move a 2 in there. So $2.25 for 3 oranges. Now we know the cost of 3 apples and 3 oranges, and they were asking us for the total cost of 3 apples and 3 oranges. So we just add those 2 numbers up. Let's do 2.25 plus 0.90. Remember, when you add, you got to line up the decimals. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 9 is 11. Bring down the decimal. 1 plus 2 is 3. So $3.15 looks like the cost of the 3 apples and 3 oranges. What do you have to do when you explain your reasoning? Oh, don't forget to write it up top. $3.15 for the apples and oranges. You have to explain that you're finding the unit rate for the apples, and you do that through division. You also have to write down that you have to find the unit cost or unit rate for the oranges, where you found out the cost of 1 orange by dividing 450 with 6. And then you have to find the cost of 3 apples by multiplying the single apple or the unit rate by 3, and doing the same with the orange, multiplying by 3. And then you have to explain that you added those 2 numbers up. And if you explain all that, you should get full credit. Anyway, that is how you do part 1, or a short answer, explain your reasoning part of the 6th grade midterm. Good luck.